You're listening to
Catholic Sprouts,
the daily podcast for Catholic kids that strives to plant seeds of faith. Hey there, Sprouts. Today is Monday, January 14th, 2019. This week on the Catholic Sprouts podcast, we are going to be talking about the virtue of faith. Now, last week on the Catholic Sprouts podcast, we began talking about holiness and how holiness oftentimes is achieved through certain virtues that God gives us in His generosity. Now, before we dive into the topic of faith, I want you to think about something. Now, there are a lot of people in this world that do not believe in God, and yet some of those people live good lives. They think about other people, they aren't too consumed with money or becoming powerful, and we could even say that they are virtuous in one way or another. And while that is good, we know that all true goodness and holiness can come only through God. So the three virtues that we are going to be tackling in the future on this podcast, which include faith, hope, and love, they're not just ordinary virtues, they are theological virtues. Now, the word theological means the study of God. Theo, that word actually means God. So these three virtues, faith, hope, and love, which we as Christians know are the most important virtues, are virtues that we can only grow in, that we can only receive as a gift from God if we believe in Him, if we move closer to Him every single day, if we spend time with Him, and if we truly love Him. So this week we are talking about faith, and in future weeks we're going to talk about hope and love. So let's talk about what faith is. Now, faith is one of those tricky words in English that has lots of different meanings and can be used in lots of different ways. So the first distinction we should make about faith is that there's two main ways we can talk about faith. We can talk about the Catholic faith or the Christian faith, or we can also say, I have faith or I am faithful. Now, in the first sense, when we talk about the Catholic faith or the Christian faith, that would be faith with a capital F. That means a set of beliefs that we agree to believe. In the Catholic Church, this includes a lot of things. In fact, we have an entire book called the Catechism that outlines everything that Catholics believe. Major things in here are the saints, the Mass, Mary, the Eucharist, the Trinity, lots and lots of things, beautiful things that we have the privilege of believing as Catholics. So that's one way to use the word faith. However, that's not what we talk about when we talk about faith as a virtue. When we talk about faith as a virtue, it has much more to do with an individual sense, an individual decision that happens within us. Yes, when we are faithful, we have taken on all the beliefs of the Catholic Church and we remain faithful to those beliefs. But it also has to do with a different word. Faith, when we talk about the virtue, is almost more closely linked to the word trust. When we have the virtue of faith, that means that we trust God in every way. And here's the hardest part. It means that we trust Him just because He is God. Not because we've had some sort of amazing personal revelation. Maybe we have, but maybe we haven't. We also don't trust him because we expect some sort of repayment, or we expect him to make life better and easier if we do trust. We trust freely simply because we believe that God is who he says he is. Now, there is so much more to say on faith, and we just sort of scratched the surface here. But to get you prepared for this week's discussion on faith, I challenge you to say a simple prayer today. Say it today and say it often. And when you're an adult, keep saying it. The prayer is this: Lord, I believe in you. Increase my faith. Lord, I believe in you. Increase my faith.
That's it for Catholic Sprouts today. We'll be back tomorrow, but until then, continue to grow in your faith and truly sprout into the beautiful creation that God intended you to be. And finally, a quick note to the grown-ups. First of all, thank you for listening to the Catholic Sprouts podcast. I ask that you please consider sharing this podcast with another Catholic family you know. Send them an email, a text, or simply mention it the next time you see them. Please join me in the mission of helping each Catholic child truly sprout into the wonderful human that God created them to be.